Hey, this is Karen with Over the Artsy Moon, and today we're going to paint an ombre background, and then we're also going to do a gradient background. So the difference between the two is that an ombre background is usually going from light to dark, dark to light, or vice versa, but more in a linear kind of fashion with one color, so a monochromatic mix. And then if we do a gradient on this messy canvas here, I painted with just some gesso but then got paint on it, we're going to mix a few colors on this one, but there'll be soft transitions between the different colors. So grab your paintbrush. I've got some messy or some dirty paint water here, but that's okay. And I'm just going to add, it's kind of good for you to be able to see what I'm doing with this water anyway. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. So I'm just going to get this on here just to give it a little extra boost with the water, but I don't want to have too much on here. If I add too much, it's going to really dilute my paint and not give me the coverage that I want. So I put that on there, but I'm just going to tap it off a bit so I don't have anything excess, but it's slightly wet. Okay, and then grab your paintbrush and tap it on your rag or paper towel. Scoop up some, we can go dark to light or light to dark. Usually I do the light to dark, but let's try the dark to light. Okay, so I've got this nice blue, it's like an ultramarine color. I think it's called Ultra Deep Blue from Deco Art, and we're just going to go side to side here. And having that wet canvas below is making my job a little bit easier, but it is fairly translucent. So it will depend on what kind of paint you get as far as the coverage, but craft paint is still doable. Just if you don't think it's dark enough later, you can always come back in and add some more paint to it, another layer. Layers are your friend. Okay, so we'll go there. Let me throw a little white on my palette here, or apparently paint crackles that have dried up, and now I have to go back and fix. So let me do a little more dark down here to just darken that up anyway. So back and forth, nice and smooth. I'm using the wide edge of my brush on the canvas. It's nice and dry, wet still. And as I get farther up here, I'm going to take some blue and I'm going to take some white. So I've got both of those on my brush. Just come above where you just painted, and then you can slightly mix them, the white and the blue. I think I need a little more white in here. I do have a lot of blue on my brush though, so maybe I should rinse that off real quick. Got to have a lot of paint on here for this to look nice and smooth and also to stay fairly wet, but that was probably a little bit too much. So back and forth here, I can bring this lighter mix down into the blue. I'm going to rinse it one more time here. Squeeze out that excess paint. Just take the white here, come above what I just painted, and then we'll go down. And now you can see that we're getting a nice soft blend there. So we're going to keep on going with this. A little more white. Just keep on pulling that down. Start up higher, and then you can keep working your way down as far as you want to go with that color transition. Just dipping into that white. It's nice and wet here, so I'm getting a nice, good result. If you try this and your paint starts drying immediately, it's going to be pretty hard to do this. And now I will just pull this white up here. Once it starts getting a little sticky, you'll see that it just doesn't work. It'll start pulling the slightly dry paint off onto your brush, and you'll have these horrible little gaps. Okay, so I'm going to throw that brush in there, and then I'm going to take my mop brush. I might grab a different one. This one's a nice fluffy one. This is so nice for just doing swirly blends in here. So just start with the lighter part and then work your way down. You don't hardly have to touch the paint. You're just giving it a nice light mix, and you can see right in here it's starting to blend very nicely. Tap it off. You won't have a ton of paint coming off, but it is on there for sure. And then just bring this down. So you're getting that nice smooth transition. You don't have to use the mop brush. By the way, you could just do what I did and stop there. But this does give you a lovely soft look. Keep on tapping it off. And there you go. So that's a lovely blend. Okay. And then I will show you what we could do if we wanted to blend some colors together. So I know I've got the colors on there, but if they show up, they show up. That's okay. This one is slightly dirty too, but it's more in the color of the paints I'm going to use. I know I should just go switch up my water, but sometimes I can't be bothered. But let me get a fresh paintbrush, a fresh flat. All right, here we go. I'm gonna go yellow, orange, and then that fuchsia. But I'll grab a little bit of white here and just come, oh, you know what, I forgot to add a little bit of water to my background. So I'll just get that going here. You can add quite a bit and then make sure you do pull off most of it. But that does seem to help in getting a nice flow with your brush. It doesn't dry quite as quickly. And let me find a spot that's not going to pull off or make it too blue. Okay, so just get some of that dried off, and then we can go ahead and start painting. So we'll grab some white, try to get it without any blue in it. Go to the top here. I got a little bit of water on my brush. Okay, then grab some of my yellow. Come down slightly below. Isn't that a beautiful color? I love that yellow. It's so pretty. I'm going to move this out of the way. And you can come up into that white. If you want to add more white, just grab more white and you'll soften, you'll lighten up that yellow. And then we can grab more yellow here. Okay, I'm going to dip into my water slightly. Okay, then I went a little bit farther than I actually want to have this yellow going, but that'll make it easier when I grab the orange. Put it just slightly below the yellow, and then you can bring that up into that yellow. As far as you want. As long as it is still wet, you'll be able to do that. And sometimes if you're not liking how it's looking, maybe you're not getting a great blend, you could add a little bit of white in there. Right here I'm not getting a great blend yet, but we're going to use something different this time if I can find one really quick. All right, I'm going to grab a little bit of white in here just to make that more interesting. And then I'll grab more of that orange right here. A little water on my brush because this is already dry down here. And then I can take some of that hot pink. And these are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. They are analogous colors. That's all that means, is they're right next to each other on the color wheel. So you know they're going to blend nicely with each other. Pink is just a red with white in it. All right, so you can see that going nicely together. And then if I want to add a little more white to this, just to make it a little creamier, I can. And then you can pull that up as high as you want. I see that my paint is starting to dry there already, so I don't want to mess with that too much. I might have to just come back and do a little bit more. If that happens, it's no big deal, but you don't want to mess with it too much because then it starts lifting off and you're not going to be happy. So we're going to let this dry down. Actually, it looks like you could imagine like the sun is hit there and hitting the water. Looks very pretty. We'll try something else real quick and see if that works. Let me find. Just grab a makeup sponge. Got to do this fairly fast. Right where the colors are blending, we can just come in. So you could still, again, use your, no, I'm not liking that. So that's actually pulling that off even more. Okay, so we're not going to do that. We try things. If they don't work, they don't work. So let me dry this off. We'll just give it another quick layer. I'll pour some more white. The thing is, if you try something and it doesn't work and you give up right away, it's just more stressful, right? Instead of being a learning experience. And so you try things. If they don't work exactly, then you go with the flow. Maybe I'm turning that into a sun or a gleam on some sparkly water at sunset, you know, that golden hour look here. But you could even make that into a flower. You could do all kinds of things with this. Or you can let this dry and give it a minute here, and then we can try doing a little bit more. So that's what we're going to do. So did I pour my white? I don't think I did. Oh, I did, yeah. And I'll find my brush that I just used. Oh, this is drying. All right. There are mediums that you can add to your paint that will help the paint to stay wet longer. But we're just doing it without, because I always feel like if you're just starting out, you may not know if you love painting, and you want to make sure that it's something for you before you invest. But there are retardants where you can add those mediums to your paint, and it'll keep the paint open a little longer, and all that means is that you have longer to work with it. Okay, here we go again. So a little bit of water, just a little bit. I've got some of that darker color in here, but that's okay. All right, we'll just get that on here, lickety split, and then we're going to go with my white. And sometimes a second layer makes everything better anyway. So we'll see how it looks once I add this. Grab my yellow. It's so much easier to paint on this right now. Okay. It is making it a little lighter because I probably added more of the white. No problem. Blend up as much as you want. Add a little more white if you need it. A little bit of water on your brush if needed. Okay, so I'm over blending this more than what I normally would do. I would usually like to see the colors being interesting in the sky, but here I'm trying to keep it a solid color, and then it is going to seamlessly transition into the next color. Okay, so we have that, and let's grab some of our orange. I got a little paint booger in there. Pull that out. A little water on my brush. And then you can blend up into that yellow. Just keep on blending back and forth as long as it's not getting sticky. And then you can start pulling that down. So I have a really soft transition line there. I love that. Get a little more water on your brush. Let's just get this a little bit darker, or a little bit wetter down here. And then I will grab my pink. Come down here. Get that pink color on the bottom. And then I'm going to just gently come up into that wet orange paint. Probably be good if I had stuck this to the table somehow, because I don't want to get my fingers on top of the canvas, but I think I'm okay. And then just back and forth as long as it's not too sticky, and you can do a little bit. You can add a little bit of water, not too much here. Just a tiny little bit if necessary. Okay, I think that's good, and it gives you the idea. My lines are a little crooked up there. That's okay. I don't know. This is probably dry enough. Like it, but I don't want to accidentally pull up anything. So I think I'm just going to do a little bit of straightening here. I'll just pull a little bit of this orange on the right side. I think that's pretty good. And if you're doing a gradient, you can do it in like a circle going outward or anything like that, or on a diagonal or something like that, versus our monochromatic ombre blend here. So I hope that gave you some insights, and I hope you try it. I'd love to see what it looks like for you. And thanks for painting with me and hanging out for a little bit. All right, have a great day and happy painting.